This is CJ with more adventures on the road. Man, I'm excited tonight. He told me before I was going to, this isn't an interview, it's an inner chew. I've got one of the legendary pool hustlers, gamblers, and all around, man, he knows all the propositions. Welcome, ChewTabacca.
Thank you.
How you doing, brother?
Good, buddy.
Man, this man's got so many stories. Not only does he play great pool, but he is a great athlete. And he's got some stories we're going to talk about where he does some incredible things, for the right bet. So Chew, tell me, where did you grow up at? Did you grow up here in a...
In Holly Grove, a little community outside of Lexington, about an hour from Charlotte.
Yeah.
Little country.
Okay.
town.
Did you, was there a little pool room there, or when did you get introduced to the game of pool?
When I turned 16,
Yeah.
I got my driver's license. They just opened up a pool room
Yeah.
with 9-foot Gandys and 50 of the worst rednecks you could imagine. Oh yes, this pool room was crazy.
You been around rednecks?
Oh my God, my whole life. AJ. Oh, my whole life.
Well, tell me, what did you feel like what was it that really told you that pool would be a major part of your life, at least for several years? You still play, but
Yeah. The first little bit of money I won,
yeah,
I knew.
yeah,
As a young kid, if you make a little money,
that's right.
hey, I got a little side hustle, and I lost my first job over pool because I called in. I told the guy, I said, I got a stomach ache. I'm not going to be able to make it. I hopped curb for a barbecue restaurant.
Yeah,
And I'm playing Dean Needle at the pool room. Good buddy of mine. We're betting $20. I'm 16, so it's a lot of
that's
years
a big
ago.
bet. Yeah,
And I got him like 200 or 300 stuck. So I call in. I'm not going to be able to make it.
yeah,
I didn't know that my boss would come down to the pool room.
yeah,
And I'm not paying attention over there to the counter. And he's standing over there. And I look up and I see him. I'm like, oh, man. So I walk over to him and I said, boy, he said, you look pretty good to have a stomach ache. And I said, yeah. I said, man, I got him 200 down. That's what I'm going to make this week working for you. I said, plus he's still playing. He said, man, I've been standing over here for like 30 minutes. He said, why are you even working for me?
yeah.
And I said, well, maybe I won't. I quit. So I started hustling pool from that day on. I was hitting the road. I played till I couldn't play in little tournaments around my town. You know how it goes.
Yeah.
Same way I'm sure you went through.
Yeah.
You're barred from here, you're killing our tournaments. And so then I went to the next town and the next town. You go around till nobody plays anymore.
That's right. So who was one of your toughest opponents early on? I mean, was there somebody that you just couldn't
Like
quite
Nemesis?
beat? Yeah.
Man, that DJ, whenever he first really crossed over to getting good,
Yeah.
that was probably my nemesis. But he plays great. I mean, I'm glad to see him doing good in the sport. You know what I mean? Because now the losses don't hurt that bad.
Yeah.
Like I'm saying, well, he's beating all these guys too.
He was on the list for the Moscone Cup.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't think I think he was in the top 5 anyway.
Yeah.
I think it goes down. I'm not sure when they cut it off, but he's at least in the running.
Yeah, that's good. I'm happy for any player around here. Joey Gray.
Yeah.
That's one of my favorite players.
Tell us about Joey Gray. You ran around with him a little bit?
Oh, yeah. I met him when he was 16. You talk about some heart now. Him and Chip Compton come out here. Chip was 15. Joey's 16. They had a $100 bill on a pool stick and hopped a ride with a truck driver and got to the Carolinas. And I see them like 6,000 later. They're pumped up when I see them.
Right.
And the guy I was running with, we go into the pool room and we knew there was a kid from Oklahoma running all around the pool rooms, but we was out of state hustling.
Yeah.
We come back and, hey, man, there's this kid, 16 years old. Give Scott Lewis the 7 down in Almar. And I said, dang, Scott played a little bit under me, but still, to get the 7, I couldn't give him the 7.
Yeah.
So I knew this kid was a player. We ran into it, and we exchanged numbers. I said, whenever the time comes, we'll hook up. And I'll bring you to Carolinas, and we'll make some money. And I did 2 years later, and we hit it off. You know, we're still good buddies.
Yeah, he used to come down to my pool room when he was like 15, 16. And
Oh,
play,
yeah.
Tommy Ray down there, one pocket. And yeah, he was beating some of the really knowledgeable
The real
players.
deals, yeah.
So
I took him to
I hear a
I thought that was a ghost.
Yeah, the ghost of Christmas
Ghost.
past.
No,
What is that? Is that?
a dog. Oh, it's a dog.
Okay.
That's right.
We're not going to dog it here. We just
No,
we have.
I have dogs. Yeah, let's talk about that.
Yeah.
No, I took Joey to Philadelphia to play the Fusco, and he ends up playing Jimmy. And that's probably one of the best compliments you could have got was when I asked him, I said, how good does this kid play? Because I didn't know one pocket that great,
Mm-hmm.
you know, but I knew Jimmy did.
Yeah.
And so I wanted to know, you know, how do you gauge this kid's game? And he said, man, he plays like he's 100 years old.
Yeah.
You know, and he was 18.
Yeah. For Jimmy to say that.
Yeah, and I mean, I learned a lot just watching Jimmy play that night.
Yeah.
His best move was just pushing the cue ball to the head rail and freezing it and leaving you straight in where you're one ball capable.
Yeah.
And that's a strong move in that game.
Yeah. So that was in Philadelphia, Philadelphia. The Fuscos. Yeah,
Rob Hart's program. That's where
That's
he
right.
played him.
So how did you guys go somewhere after that?
Oh man, we went to the tip of Florida all the way back up.
Yeah.
You know, we run the East Coast back around. We was like 15, 20,000 winter when we got to Hollywood at the bottom, getting ready to come up the west side. Justin Hall's like 16, 17 at the time.
Yeah.
We run into Jay Hall, and Joey's telling me, you know, I played him at the junior championships. He's a good player.
Right.
So they never did play, but we just played everybody else. Rob Melrose.
Yeah.
They put the move on us in Hollywood.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah, they got us good in Hollywood.
Hollywood, Florida.
Yes, after we're
Was Toby Sweet down there when you were down there?
Monster John.
Yeah. Airport Steve.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, we played a lot down there when I was pretty young. I was with
Oh
Strong
man,
John. He was
big
doing
gambling down there.
Yeah, yeah.
But,
Yeah, they still talk about what we did to him down there.
Oh, they run a little girl in on Joey. Little
yeah.
hot little petunia. And
Yeah.
he falls dead in love with her overnight.
Yeah.
And he blows all the money we're up the very next night. And I'll never forget that look on his face. He's so flush in the face, red, because he's dogging it. He is dogging it. He knows it.
Yeah.
And we let him play another set, hoping he's going to be able to shoot his way out of it. And then I called him to the side.
Yeah.
I said, Joey, be honest with me now. You went to the motel last night with that girl and you stayed up all night. You know what I'm talking about. He went, hell yeah. I said, man, they brought that girl up here, Joey. You got to be smarter than that.
Yeah.
We need to pull up right now and don't give all the money back. And he did. He pulled up. But he hated it because he's got the heart of a damn lion. You know, he didn't have to quit in him.
Those girls will get you.
Oh, my God, you ain't lying.
They did that. Earl was playing. Remember that match in Hong Kong where he played Efren and he was like 20 down?
Yeah.
Came back. I mean, I've told the full story, but I don't know if you've heard this. So Efren came back 20 games and Earl's, you know, raising hell about that the guy that put the thing on had hired this girl to come in and she's wearing a short skirt. Like, I think she had no panties on or something. And then there's a couple other hecklers and you know, everybody was like, oh, that's just Earl. That's just Earl. You know, he's making excuses. Well, Earl told the guy, Robert Moore was his name. I knew him. He flew us to Hong Kong one time. And Earl said, I know you did this. I know you hired that girl to come in. I know you hired those guys to heckle me. And I'm never playing for you again, ever. So Earl flew back to the United States. 3 days later, Robert Moore contacted Lisa, who was Earl's wife, and said, Earl's right. I did that. The prize money difference was $80,000. I'm wiring you $80,000 today. And he did it. He wired $80,000. I just want people to know Earl was not making an excuse. They got him the same type way.
Oh, yeah.
And I've had that happen before. You know, we won't get into all those stories, but, you know, you got to have your guard up, don't you?
Oh, at all times. We was just talking about Charlie Brinson, me and Jimmy. And, he was the king of one-liners. You know Charlie Brinson?
Yeah, yeah.
Well, I told Jimmy, I said I was probably 17, 18 at a tournament. And Charlie walks up and he's playing right beside of me and he sets his beer down on the table. He
Yeah.
said, ChewTabacca. He said, look, if somebody comes up and tries to put something in this beer, do not stop them. But I'd never get that. Every time I'd see him, I'd say, hey, Charlie. He said, yeah, do won't stop.
He says, he says, I play better when I'm jarred.
Oh, yeah. One of his favorite things, he said, hey, you playing that guy in the race? This is it. Like if you just lost a set.
Yeah.
You playing? Are you on air? If you are, I want half that air. I'm in. That was his favorite. I'm in on that air barrel.
Yeah, back then those guys said if you didn't fire the air barrel at him, you weren't really trying.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
Man, that's the worst feeling in the world.
Oh,
when you luckily I wasn't in that spot. I do have a story about that, but it was.
I don't think there's a pool player alive that hadn't fired at least one air barrel.
Yeah.
In their life.
Yeah.
Because we gamble it all.
Yeah.
You know. We play for it all.
You know, you were like a kind of a big brother to Joey, and Dennis Hatch is another one. That
me and Dennis was close.
Tell me about. I used to see Dennis down in Florida. His whole family go down there in the motorhome.
Yeah.
And it was Dennis and his father and his uncle, and you know, they all played a little pool, but they all bet on Dennis. How did you and Dennis hook up?
I met him whenever I was with Dean Moore because we was playing in all the tour tournaments, and I'm seeing Dennis at each tournament, so we buddied up some. And out. He'd take a little piece of my bet every time I gambled. But he told me, man, he was fire now in the early '90s. Yeah, he was on it. Had the big break.
Yeah, I think he ran something like 400 balls or something when he was like a teenager.
Oh yeah, he's one of them natural.
I think he got second in the U.S. Open when he was 17 or 18.
Yeah, was that the Tommy Kennedy?
I think Mizrak.
Because he finished second twice.
Oh, did he?
Yeah,
maybe it was Tommy Kennedy. I really don't remember. You know, I played Dennis a few times I'm older than he is. So I gave him a 7-ball and beat him one time, but then it got quickly to where, you know, we were playing even. But, you know, Johnny and Dennis and I were kind of the three best younger players during that one period of time.
Tony Ellen. How about Tony?
And Tony Ellen.
Did you get to play Tony?
Yeah. They snuck him in on me in Fort Wayne, Indiana, kind of. I didn't really know who he was, even though we played in the national high school championships together, which I didn't know at the time. And they got me to give him the 8 on the bar table. Well, they didn't realize that sometimes that 8 don't matter. So I beat him like that, and then I played Johnny, and I beat him on the bar table. And then he followed me to Indianapolis to Big John's place, Sticks and Stones, and I won there too. And he followed me down to Dallas, and I beat him there. So he was chasing me around. I mean, Johnny and I have talked about it, and you know, we're good friends. He's cool. And I will say this: he beat me plenty of time in tournaments. So I mean, my main game was gambling. I mean, I did well in tournaments, but gambling was my forte. So I've always, you know, anytime that I talk about beating Johnny gambling, I have to say he was a better tournament player than me. You know, he's a tournament player of the '90s, and I have a great deal of respect. And man, we almost won the Moscone Cup together. He won 6 matches in 2012 when I was the captain, and we would stay up every night, way past when people go to bed, and we'd just talk. And you know, we had some great conversations. So anyway, all respect to Johnny.
Oh yeah.
But you mentioned a name a while ago. We'll get back to Dennis because there's a story you would like to hear. But Mean Dean Moore.
Ooh.
See, that's a guy that a lot of the older pool players will recognize because he was a tough cookie, boy, and he was in Atlanta, Georgia. And tell us a little bit about Dean, except the one about the girl, maybe. Yeah. We've got a few stories that we got to kind of keep.
I was with Dean like 4 months, so I could write a small book. Yeah. In the 4 months, that's how action packed the 4 months was. But I met Dean at Tight Pockets because all the gambling back there in the late '80s, early '90s. You know, when somebody's really going off, it gets out there. Quick. Yeah. But it made it all the way to North Carolina. Yeah. That there's a man that owns a glass factory out there. They called him the Glass Man.
Yeah.
They'll nickname the scores the marks.
Yeah.
So we take off, me and another pool player, Tony Miller, a good bank pool player.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, he beat Archer in long rail and long rack banks. That's how good a bank pool player he was.
Yeah.
From West Virginia. But a degenerate gambler and matched up real bad. And like, I had won a bunch of money on this trip. And then we meet Dean.
Yeah.
And one of the first things Dean says is, I'll take you on the road with me. He said, but I'm not taking your sidekick there. And he called it like it was. He said he's a loser.
Yeah.
I said, yeah, you're right. I'm ready to get away. And Dean offered a good deal. And Dean was like the Telly Savalas of old Kojak.
Yeah.
Always a slick silk shirt, you know, and dressed to the nine. He was he stood out in the pool rooms.
Right.
Tall like me, bald headed. But
were you guys about the same height?
yeah, pretty close, same height.
You're 6'5"?
Yeah.
Yeah, because he's
Dean
tall.
was like 6'5",
Like he was
6'4" maybe.
He was kind of intimidating.
Yeah, he was.
As far as,
Well, he would tote so much money with him that it, you know, I'm a young kid. I'm 23 when I was with him. And I'm like, dang, man, you're not worried about toting all that money with you? He said, why, son? I said, have you ever been robbed? He said, one time. I said, how much did they get you for? He said, them broke motherfuckers didn't have $20 between them. He flipped it and robbed them.
Put the re-rob
Oh,
on.
yeah, he had them underneath the pinball table and one underneath the pool table.
Of all the men that I have met, and I've met several that are I mean, they would send shivers down your spine.
Yeah.
But I meet some players when I was a teenager. That Dean was back in Atlanta, Eugene Browning, and was it Paul Turner? Paul Turner. They were giving me the 7-ball. I kind of was getting the best out of it. And Dean, and he was studying me. And I mean, I'd look at him and I'd catch his eyes. And I mean, I could like a little, like I'd get I'd get the little bit of shiver. Yeah. He was intimidating. So tell us some more. Where'd you guys end up going?
Oh my God, here we go. Dean, that's how we got along pretty good, was because he'd stake 2 or 3 good
What about
players.
when you were riding down the car and he looked over and he said, what did he say to you?
Oh, look, this is funny now. Because,
it's funny now.
Yeah, it's funny now. Because like a week prior to this, we're at a tournament.
Yeah.
And Stevie Moore, a good friend of mine, you know, he's a little concerned at the time. So he walks up to me and sort of whispers to me. He said, hey, Chew, you know who you're running with, right? And at the time, I'd been with Dean maybe a month. So I was learning more and more as time went along. And I said, I'm starting to learn, you know, Stevie. He said, well, you do know he's a murderer, right? And I'm like, no, I didn't know that part yet, Stevie. He goes, yeah, man, he's full time for murder. And he said, just watch yourself, you know. I know you're a good guy.
Yeah.
Dean's all the way across the pool room, CJ.
Yeah.
And when he tells me this, I look to see where Dean's at.
Yeah.
He's dead fixated on me from across the room, like he read every word that come out of his mouth. That was the feeling he was
Yeah.
That frightful. And I'm like, get away from me, Stevie. Get away. So Stevie looks over at him and immediately just walks away from me.
Yeah.
So now a week later, and Dean loved to gamble. So we're leaving Panama City, headed to Biloxi. A long country ride. We've been like 2 hours on the road, not a word said. I'm in the passenger seat and Dean's driving. He says, son, you don't know what it's like to kill a man, do you? 2 hours of non-talking. He
had to break the ice a little bit.
I'm like, heck no, I don't, Dean, and I hope I never have to find out. That was an honest answer from a 23-year-old kid about shit in his pants. And I'm sitting there and he don't say nothing. And he keeps driving, you know. And he like looks over at me and I look at him. Now I'm thinking, because I've always said what comes on my mind.
Yeah, yeah.
Because I'm already thinking about wrecking the car.
Yeah.
You know, I'm thinking maybe he's going to ditch me out here in this back country road. And I said, Dean, you're not thinking about killing me, are you? And he looks at me with that evil chuckle.
Yeah.
And he said, nah, I like you, son. He said, but I'll tell you what. He said, it's a rush to take a man's life.
Yeah.
And he said, and after you take one, it's nothing to take another one. All right, Dean. All right. I feel you. I know where you're coming. But it was like he he knew what Stevie had told me at that time.
Yeah.
And he was coming clean. So I respected the fact that he's telling me. And I said,
Yeah.
well, Dean, how did it happen? I mean, where did it come about? You did kill a man.
Yeah.
He was 16 years old when he did that.
Yeah.
You know, and it was over a $2 pool game.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Dean had beat him out like $6 and the guy hadn't paid him. And then just embarrassed him in front of the whole bar. Told him he wasn't going to pay him. There's nothing he can do about it. So Dean just went out to his car and got his little pistol, set on his car hood and waited till the guy come out. Now, this is Dean telling me what happened.
Yeah.
You know, so I'm only as good as what's told to me if I
Yeah.
repeat something. But
I never knew the story, so I mean. Yeah.
Oh, he was treacherous.
Yeah.
A little scary. I'll tell you this. I've booked a lot of losers in my life playing pool. More winners than I have losers, but I've still booked my share of losers.
Yeah.
I never booked a loser for that man in 4 months.
Yeah.
But I think partly because I was scared to.
Yeah. Yeah. He'll make you bear down.
Oh, yes.
Especially you open the trunk and you see like a shovel and some duct tape and
Oh, I'll never forget one of the hustles he had me do. He pulls up out in the pool room. We get out of the car. He hands me 2 bands, 10,000 each band. I got 20,000, 10 in this pocket, 10 in this. Then he hands me a 2-headed quarter.
Mm-hmm.
He said, look, I want you to go in this pool room and act like you're looking for action. He said, when you get in there, there's going to be this one man, and he's in there. I already know he's in there.
Yeah.
And he's going to want to flip you a quarter for everything in your pocket.
Yeah.
But he always calls tails.
Yeah.
He said, I want you to go in there and you post this 20,000 and tell him you're going to flip it, and you flip this quarter.
Yeah.
I'm 23, you know, and I'm thinking, well, it sounds pretty good, but what if he picks the quarter up off the floor, Dean? You know, he didn't care.
Yeah.
He was going to take that chance of me, but I didn't have the balls to go in there and do it.
Yeah.
You know, I thought about it twice, and I said, man, I would want to look at that quarter for 20,000.
Yeah.
But he would put you in some pretty rough spots too now. The best spot though, we're in Panama City, Florida, at his pool room. He had the big tournament there. Hatch, Kennedy, all them's there. Downtown Eddie Brown.
Yeah.
Eddie Brown was there. Eddie Brown, he didn't do real good in the tournament and he was knocked out.
Yeah.
Well, after the tournament's over, Eddie's still sticking around. Well, Dean comes up and gives me 1,000. He said, here, I want you to play that Eddie, son. He said, play him for whatever he wants to. He said, see what happens. Well, we start playing. Well, Dean goes in his office and the pool room goes to sleep. Well, me and Eddie played all night long till break of day.
Yeah.
And I almost had him busted 2 or 3 times. I'm clocking his bankroll every time he pulled out, so I know.
Yeah.
You know, and I get him on that last game or next to the last game. Couldn't get it. He was a tough cat, you know, but Dean comes up. I said, damn, no, he's going to be mad I ain't beat this guy yet. But that wasn't the case.
Yeah.
Eddie was a better player than I was.
Yeah.
Dean had given me that money to play him thinking Eddie was going to roll over me, and it was a complimentary 1,000 for you to go back home.
Yeah.
Because Dean's sitting there shaking his head, and I'm thinking he's shaking his head because I hadn't busted him yet.
Yeah.
So I walked over to Dean. I said, man, I've had him on his last game 3 or 4 times. I said, I just can't get his guy, son. Shakes and laughs his head and walks off. Well, then I finally get him.
Yeah.
Dean's sitting there, and I kicked in that last little bit and got the cash. Eddie quits. I see him give Dean this terrible look. And I walk over to Dean. I said, hey, man, I said, what was he mad about? He said, son, he said, I give you that money because you can't beat that man.
Yeah.
You know, that's the way he was, though.
Yeah. You were scared to lose, though.
Oh, yeah. He told me, I don't know how many times, he said, you know, you might be the worst pool player that's ever run with me. I said, I appreciate it, Dean. You know, thanks for the tip. I said, I played pretty good there. He said, I've seen better. You know, if I ever tried to give myself a little pat on the back, because he never given me a pat on the back.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, what a character, and boy, we could go on and on about those types. But so that was in Atlanta, and you took the trip, and so tell me, you were what, 23 at the time?
Yeah,
so
23.
Now what happens when you're like 24 and 25?
When I come back from Dean, that was probably the best I'd ever played.
Yeah.
You know, because he made me do it.
Yeah.
You know, the 4 months I was with him, his son had Huntington's disease and lived down there in Panama City. But if we wasn't gambling or going to the casino or I wasn't in action, I had to be in that pool room hitting balls.
Yeah.
And he would set his son in there the
Make-
whole entire time to
make
watch,
sure.
to make sure. I played like 8 hours on his regular table, and then I'd go back there and play with the regular balls on the snooker table.
Yeah.
I'd play 6 balls and try to run out on the snooker table. So
Yeah.
I was in as good a punch as I could ever be in.
Yeah. That's
He
awesome.
knew it, though. He knew. I beat Bruce Brown back then. When I was with Dean, he was one of the better players. in
Don't you think
Atlanta
it
back
takes
then.
that? I mean, I have the same thing.
It does.
Where you had an older guy that took you under your
I
wing.
mentor you.
Like Weldon Rogers was like that with me. And
Mhm.
of course, Omaha John was my first. I went with him when I was like 18. And then after that, Weldon Rogers. So these are two of the best ever. But Weldon was such a good actor, and he acted like he was my uncle, and he was like the rich uncle that was a hard ass, and I'm the nephew that he wants to give a chance to play, and,
Oh,
you
yeah.
know, but he's really, and I'd miss a ball and he'd stand over there and put his hands and shake his head. I mean, I know he's acting,
Oh, yeah.
but
it was still
but I
scary.
could feel it. And I mean, I swear I couldn't really play in front of him very well. And I didn't really have to, because I mean, the level of play that I was at, you know, I looked so young, you know, that I never was playing super good players. And, you know, we went in and played, you know, Shannon Dalton and his dad.
Yeah.
When Shannon was on, we were talking about that. But a lot of what I was doing was stalling. But I remember when I finally played really good in front of him, and I felt like it was a big breakthrough.
Yeah.
But that experience, I think, was invaluable for me, because I needed that.
Yeah.
You need, I tell young players, man, money's not the only pressure. I mean, there's other pressures, like
yeah.
traveling with a guy that asks you, do you know what it's like to kill a man?
Yeah.
I love that.
Pressure.
You know,
Pressure.
I mean, I ran with a guy that was like that too. You
Yeah.
know, that was just as deadly, but a good old boy. You know,
Yeah.
a lot of these stone cold killers are really nice guys.
Yeah.
And I asked him, this guy was a card mechanic, and he held out cards, right? And it made me nervous. I'd sit behind him. Of course, I'm like 20 at this time. And I'd see him holding an extra card in his hand. And he'd see me like fidgeting a little bit, because I could see it and they couldn't. And then what'd he do? He'd start holding out 2 cards.
Oh, yeah. We'll
So-
get this over with.
So I asked him one time, and I know this guy's super dangerous. And I said, what happens if they catch you? And he looked at me and he said, that's their problem.
Oh.
And I mean, it was the same feeling that you
Yeah.
probably, you know, he said, looked me dead in the eye. He said, that's their problem.
Oh.
And I knew what he meant, because he would do
That's when the
something
bad stuff's getting
horrible
ready
to
to
him.
happen. Yeah.
He was a felon, so he couldn't carry a gun or anything, but he had a knife. You know, you've seen those guys. He handled like a switch, like he could take that knife out and switch it like
Oh,
this.
yeah.
And he's the one that first told me. He said, man, you know, in the movies, when they flick out at knife, you know, they put it up where they can see.
Yeah.
Now this guy is like, you don't do that. He would flip it and put it here,
And you'd never know.
and you'd never know he had it until it was too late.
Yeah.
And but I mean, there again,
Yeah.
it's the funny
Dangerous.
things you pick up. But I think it especially when you're young like that, you know, it makes a man out of you. I
Oh,
think
it
a little,
does.
little quicker
Yes.
than normal. You know, than going to like college. I call it a PhD, a pool hall degree.
Yeah.
You know, and it's not, like I said, just about pool. It's about being with some of these characters
Yes.
that are dangerous. And this man right here is dangerous too. And I'd like to hear the story about when they bet you that you couldn't jump up on a car. Where was that at? In
Sumter,
South
South
Carolina.
Carolina. Yeah. Bar table tournament. And we're just
you
trying
got
to
Scott
stir up
Frost
action.
with that too, right?
Yeah.
So yeah, I want you to tell. This is amazing. That's what this guy can do. So
That was one of our biggest hustles. If somebody didn't want to gamble on pool, you know, we'd flip it to, hey, I'll bet you I can jump over that bar, or I bet I can jump on that 2x4 that's there. And so we're at Sumter, and I try to bet Josh Roberts' cousin Peanut. I said, Peanut, I bet 500 I can go over and jump on that bar. He goes, man, that ain't nothing. He said, I can do that. He said, I bet I can go outside and open up my car door and flat foot over the car door. I said, if you don't have an MG midget or some little low rider out there, regular size Camry ChewTabacca. I said, well, you got to bet.
Yeah.
So me and my buddy Adam, we walk outside. We are the only two white guys out there.
Yeah.
And there's like 15, 20 black guys. And, but I know half of them. I'm cool with all the guys.
Yeah.
But we get out in the parking lot and he backs his car out of his parking place and pulls it out in the middle of the parking lot. And he's doing all these jumping jacks and splits. And I said, man, jump, Peanut, come on. He's like, man, I got to get loose. I said, damn, you're going to get tired from getting loose, so man, just do the jump. So he wants me to step back into the crowd a little bit.
Yeah.
He says, now get back, you give me some room. Well, I wasn't cramping him no way, but I'm still not going to get shafted.
Yeah, right.
And so he gets ready to do the jump, which is supposed to be like this, straight up over the car door. Not pull your foot back and then jump, which is what he's getting ready to try to do.
Yeah.
So when he pulls his foot back, I come out of the crowd and kick him in his leg and spin him like this to the car. Well, little stuff starts mumbling in the background, you know.
The brothers are getting a little riled up.
Yeah. Hey, man, what are you doing to Nut?
Yeah.
You know, I hear that for sure. Yeah. Hey, man, what are you doing to Nut? Because I got him up against the car. Like, hey, Nut, what are you doing?
Yeah.
Well, they flipped the bet because Nut's crying, man, give me a step. I said, no, not with no step, man. I said, with a step, I might jump on top of your car.
Yeah.
And I know I said might.
Yeah.
Well, immediately, man, Peanut says, you got the bet. I said, what? And then everybody out there said it. Like one right after another. Oh, he's got the bet. He took the bet. Like, oh, got the bet. He's got the bet. Yeah. I hear it.
Yeah.
So I go to the big guy that's got the money, and I said, man, just give him his money back and give me mine back. Well, this guy's huge, like Zeus on the Friday. He's like, oh, man, ain't nobody getting no money back till this bet's resolved.
Yeah.
The way I see it is you got the bet. I'm like, oh, man, I'm so mad, CJ, but I'm not stupid either, you know. Yeah. There's nothing I can do.
Right.
And, but I am so mad. I go to my buddy and I said, man, you hear what's going on? He said, man, just jump. Let's get out of here. I don't care if we lose the money.
Yeah.
So I get over there and I try to get out of the bet because I'm not sure if I can do it. I've jumped on bars and all this, but this is going to be my first car.
Yeah.
And so I said, Peanut, you know, if I jump up there, it's going to dent your car in. I'll never forget what he said. He goes over and taps on that hood, real smart ass. I hope you watch this, Peanut. He's tapping on the car and he said, you know what, ChewTabacca, go and get up. I got insurance. I said, no. So I'm trying to gauge it, how I'm going to get hurt or how I'm going to come down if I don't make it. But I make it.
Yeah.
And I mean, land it like a Q-tip. It don't even do nothing because I'm pulling my feet to me.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just like a little sponge jump. So it don't do anything to the car.
Yeah.
But I'm getting ready to do something.
Exactly.
So I do a victory jump, CJ, as high as I can. Come down with both feet, crush the top of his car. Peanut grabs the car and I'm like, damn, Chew. And I jumped because it slammed my ankles together so hard. I made that big enough dent to where when my feet come down, my ankles went like that.
Yeah.
So it hurt like shit. So I jump up out of the cream right in front of Big Zeus. Land right in front of him. Whack! I stand up. He flipped the money out. Yeah. Like, God dang, white boy, you can jump. And me and Adam, my buddy that was with me, we go back inside the pool room. But right when we are, Peanut had gotten his car and he couldn't set all in. So he's hanging his head up and he said, fuck you, ChewTabacca. It was funny though. But man, it traveled. You wouldn't believe every time I went anywhere, they'd say, man, you jumped on Peanut's car. I said, man, you need to quit that, keep that down. Because Dean knew how I could jump. I jumped on a McDonald's trash can for like 500 at a McDonald's with Dean.
Yeah.
When he seen what I could do with the jumping, he exposed it. And just everywhere we went, hey, I'll bet you this kid right here can jump on that.
Dylan, Scott Frost, you got him.
Oh, I got Scott.
I like Scott. Scott's a great guy, but you know, this is funny where because they could have got anybody.
Oh yeah. And this is a rail, like you walk between, like you're going to the pool tables. So it's got a slant to it. It goes up like this a little bit, like a handrail. And it's a 2x4. Scott's standing on this side. And I tell a buddy of mine, I said, watch this, I'm going to get Scott for 500 right there. He said, how? I said, just watch. Stay back here, though. So I walk over to him and I said, man, I said, can you believe there was a guy in here last night and I bet 1,000 he could jump up on this rail and land it like a gymnast. And he said, how big was he? I said, probably about my size. I said, but I got a size 14 shoe. You know, that guy probably has a size 12 or 13. I said, you know, that's a lot of foot to hang over that rail.
Yeah.
He goes, and he looked at the rail real hard and he said, yeah, he could have got me for 1,000. So now I know I can get him.
Yeah.
But I don't want to bet the 1,000.
Right.
To scare him. So
Yeah.
I said, man, I said, I'll tell you what, I'll try it for 500. And he looks at me, he says, well, you got to bet.
Yeah.
He said, now you got to land up there. You can't just jump up there and touch your feet and go off the other side.
Yeah.
His stipulation. And I said,
Yeah.
all right, I got you. I said, step back. So I jump up there to land it. I stand up there for like 3 seconds. And I turn around and look at him. I said, is this long enough? And as soon as I say it, the bartender screams across the damn floor and said, ChewTabacca, you get another one? Because I've got people on it all along. And Scott says, man, it just pays off. But we're good buddies, me and Scott.
Yeah. Man, I met Scott when he was, I think 17 or 18. Roger Griffiths and I was at the Riviera in Las Vegas, and we ate together. And I didn't know who he was, but he was he's from the Des Moines area, I think, in Iowa. So,
Yeah.
See, I'm from somewhat close to that. My mother grew up about 80 miles from Des Moines. And I remember him with confidence saying, you know, that he was going to be the best one pocket player in the country. And this was, you know, but he played real good.
Well,
See, I didn't know. I
yeah.
wasn't in the one pocket world really. And my gosh, you know, a few years later, he was the best one pocket player in the country and beat Efren several times.
Yeah, he brought some new stuff to that, man.
Yeah. So
Fire one pocket.
you know, Jeanette Lee was the same way at the U.S. Open. I went out to lunch with her when she was probably 20 or 21. And I left that lunch, I got to be honest, going, my God, this girl, you know, talk about an ego. But when somebody says something that comes true,
Yeah.
I respect that a great deal. See,
Yeah.
I hung around a lot. You know, Michael Irvin, remember the Dallas Cowboy? Michael Irvin and I used to play pool together. And so I hung around a lot of those black athletes, you know, in this nightclub I had in Dallas. And Michael asked me something about, you know, how good did you really play? And I said, man, I don't want to brag about anything. He goes, listen, here's the rule. If you say it and it's true, it's not bragging. But if you say it and it's not true, he says, we'll call you on that shit. You know?
Yeah.
And that really is, you know, like Michael Jordan, if he wants to say he's the greatest basketball player or something, hey, I mean, they don't look at it like, you know, sometimes in the pool world, you know, people get uneasy, let's just say, if you state facts. But I'm like that. Like if you say you can jump, you know, white men can jump. And what other kind of physical things did you do for money? Is there any other things you did, or
I'm no badass or nothing, but I did offer to fight a couple of times. But it wasn't because I think I'm a badass. It's because whoever I was willing to do this with, it wasn't whether I thought I could win or not. You know, like you know how the flaggers are on the sidelines. I'll remember this. As a matter of fact, my buddy was with me when this happened.
Yeah.
We beat him out quite a bit of money, but he was the state horse. But they called him Big Chris because he was a mule, you know, short, stout mule. And I beat him out quite a bit of money, and they had run a good player in. I didn't know him at the time, but they had me giving them 7. But we're betting like 500 on 6,000 winners. A complimentary give back play, even if you got a player in here. I don't mind that. But, you know, the flagging part and the screaming when I'm getting down. And I tried to fight that guy for money. But
I've heard you've been in some tussles before.
I've been in some pretty bad ones.
And I think the story is you always ended up on the
I got
side.
lucky.
But I mean, you know, there's some dangerous.
Oh, God.
I've seen some horrible things happen. I saw a guy get his throat cut with a beer bottle one night in Albuquerque. Man, some of that stuff, I've been stabbed twice. I've been stuck up at gunpoint 3 times before I was 22. So,
You've been there.
but that got me into, that's what got me in martial arts. I got stabbed twice. I got sliced in the head here and stuck in right by my belly button
Where did that happen?
in Dallas. I was down at an illegal poker game, dice game, wrong part of town, South Dallas, and coming back, it's raining, and I pulled over, and I go up to get some cigarettes, and there's like bars on the windows and everything, and I ended up getting jumped by 3 guys, and they cut me. They had a knife on these brass knuckles. I told the whole story. I just, I don't want to get totally into that, but it made a difference with me. And I've had a few near-death experiences, but I still remember they had those brass knuckles with that knife on it, and they sliced me here and stuck me here. And the guy from the store came out and yelled at them. Well, they didn't finish me off, and I got in. I had a little 300ZX, and I got in, and I mean, I'm bleeding. I've got my hand up, and I mean, it's pulsating out, and I'm like, I pull onto the road, and I go over the curb, and I drive down, and I mean, everything's just.
How old are you?
23, I think, 22 or 23, and so I go to another store. I pull up and go up and park the car, and I mean, I'm bleeding bad. So I go up to they had an outdoor, you couldn't get in the door, it's locked. And they had a deal, and I went up, and the guy was there, and he saw me, bleeding. I said, "Help me." And he motioned me around. So I went around, and I went in the door, and right as I went in to the left, there was this orange picnic table. I mean, I still remember it. And I went up to that orange picnic table, and I laid my head down, and I like passed out. And like, it seemed like right away, I don't know how long it was, they wake me up, and they're putting me on a stretcher. And this is the part that stands out, because I still remember this, as messed up as I was. There's 3 guys on each side, and they're carrying me into the ambulance. They put me in the ambulance, and I looked up at one of them. I said, "Am I going to die?" And he looked down and says, "We don't think so." And I said, "Good."
Wow.
And I let myself pass out. I swear, ChewTabacca, if he said I was going to die, I wasn't going to go to sleep, because I didn't want to, I want to see how this movie ends. You know what I mean? So I woke up, and they were stapling it together. And after I healed up, I went and started shopping for a martial arts place, and I found the one that so I'm so glad I found this one, because it was brutal. And I went into that when I first went in to talk to this head instructor. He's from Chicago, Assistant Regional Head Instructor Mark is what his title was at the time. So he's behind the desk, and I still had like staple, I mean, he could tell.
He knew mine.
And I told him that. And so and I can tell he's super serious. And like when I'm talking to him, he's like thinking, but he's looking like in my chest, like his eyes defocused. So I said, "So if I train with you, what's going to happen?" And he went from my chest up into my eyes, and he said, "I'll turn you into an animal." And I went, "I like it." Because I knew that it would happen again. And I have been, I've been in over 20 bar fights, mostly breaking them up, in the bar business. You've probably seen lots of bar fights. But, people don't realize sometimes the danger that we did face.
Oh, my God. I had a bar for like 7 years.
Yeah.
And it was in a rough part of town.
Yeah. Especially in full moons. You ever notice that?
Oh, my God.
There's something about that full moon. I swear I have seen so many.
My father-in-law likes to run naked on full moon.
Oh, yeah.
Every full moon. He lives in Arizona, so if I look up and see a full moon,
imagine
him running around naked.
He's got a werewolf.
Yep, I love my father-in-law.
So there's another story that I really like, and this one right here happened. I think, what was it? A guy went up, and he worked for Federal Express or UPS, and he said that you lived by him. Tell that story when you're on the East Coast, right?
Up in Jersey.
Yeah, Jersey.
Yeah. My neighbor, he was a furniture peddler. Pretty good pool player. Lived right beside of me.
Yeah.
Our driver's license was 216, 218, far as rank. And he would come over to the house, and we would play, and I'd work with him. But I'd also tell him, "Now look, when you go out on the road.
Yeah.
Don't be just playing anybody, Brad, just because your game's jumped up some. I said, but always use me when you get up there.
Yeah.
I said, if you see somebody that really likes to gamble and stuff, I said, call me.
Yeah.
I'm your next door neighbor.
Yeah.
Which he would put it off as I was the owner of the company, and
Yeah.
you know how it grows. But yeah, he called me in a pretty bad shape, wanting me to hurry to get to Mount Holly, New Jersey.
Yeah.
So me and my buddy, we drive up there real quick. We beat the guy out of like 8,000, his cue and everything, and we come back. A few months later, this guy calls me again. The guy I beat out of 8,000.
Yeah.
And he's got me 2 suckers from Ohio there.
Yeah.
Which I know better.
Yeah, of course.
But I had a young kid.
So he loses to you, now he's got.
Oh yeah, now he's gonna make me some money.
Yeah, of course.
He give me 8,000. Now he's gonna give me some more. And he says, "Hey, Chew, I got these 2 suckers up here." And I hit him with the, well, I guess you won't mistake it, and well, his money's funny. He can't do it. So we still drive up there, and this kid with me is like super detective, plays real good, but he's like, man, Chew, you got to be smarter than this. I said, what do you mean? He said, this is a trap. I said, yeah, I know it's a trap. He's like, well, why are we going up there? I said, because we know it's a trap, Adam. He said, that makes no sense to me. I said, Adam, when you know it's a trap, I said, then you use your mouth.
Yeah.
I said, so we're going to walk up in there. We might not even play when we get here. I said, but it's going to be worth going in here and me running my mouth to them because I know we're in a trap. So I'm looking forward to the talk game.
Right.
And seriously, we might not even play no pool.
Yeah.
So we walk in the pool.
But they got money and they know you got them stuck.
Oh, yeah. So I know I'm going to bust it.
Yeah.
And I told him, I said, look, we're going to shoot a certain number. If we do play, I'm shooting a certain number at this trap.
Mm-hmm.
But here's the thing. Since it is a trap, and whoever this guy is he's got down there that he knows plays better than I do.
Yeah.
I said, they're going to get flat tapped if I can beat him.
Yeah, of course.
So we go in there, and they tell me the guy's a little Mikey. And they keep on, and I keep trying to dodge it, tell him I know he's a player. I know he's got to play better than me. All the lines, and he's got a little crack stem in his back pocket.
Yeah.
Sticking up. And I see it, and the pool room owner, my buddy that's helping me get this game, he's blatantly pointing it out.
Yeah.
ChewTabacca, look, he's a crackhead. You can see it right there in his pocket.
You can't beat a crackhead.
And he's done said this 2 or 3 times. So like the 3rd time he says it, I look at him and I said, you know what, Sharky? I could bring a fishing pole in here. But if I ain't using it, don't make me no fisherman.
Yeah.
He goes, what are you saying? I said, lock the doors and let's see him smoke it up. So we go back, he locks the doors. It's just like 5 of us in the pool room. He locks the doors, we go back to the bathroom, he breaks his little piece off. He puts in his little thing and hits it up. And he's immediately ready to play.
Yeah.
And I said, oh no, we ain't through. Because he still had quite a bit.
Yeah.
I said, we're going to smoke all that. If you're a crackhead, you want to smoke it all.
Yeah.
He goes, I won't imitate him because I'm not going to put his name out.
Yeah.
But, he blatantly was ready to play. If I talk like him, you'll know exactly who it is.
Okay.
So I want to talk like him so bad.
Go ahead. Nobody knows.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
Oh, they
You ready to play? As soon as it comes off, you ready to play? And I said, no, let's get to smoking. So we sat there for an hour for him to smoke all of us.
Yeah.
We go out to the pool table, 300 a game, 9 ball. Here we go. We're kicking it.
After he smokes all of
his crap. He's zooming. I mean, like, it was like he floated from the bathroom to the pool table. He's like, whoop. He beats me there. You ready? And I'm coming. I said, I'm coming. Well, he proceeds to break and put 3 on me on this triple chin table. I mean, it's just, and the kids over there constantly, I told you.
Yeah.
I told you what you want. And I said, man, will you quit?
Yeah.
I said, all we have to do is weather the storm.
Yeah.
I said, look, I'm going to hit him with this line right here in a minute, and you'll see what's getting ready to happen. So it's like the 4th game, he's done run the first 3, and he gets a little out of line on the 9th. He's got a long back cut. And he's winding, zooming, he's stroking real quick, and he stops right mid-stroke, and he looks dead at me.
Yeah.
He said, this is a pump-up shot. He gets back down and goes 100 miles and he fires that ball, hits the bottom rail and shoots halfway across the pool. And I'm looking at him and I said, yep, it's time. So I go get the 9-ball for him. I walk over there and I take my time. I'm letting his little zoom wear off. I come back with the 9-ball and I hand it to him. And when he goes to take it out of my hand, I grip it a little tight where he grabs it like that. And I said, what time's crackdown close? And I looked dead serious at him and he looked at me zooming. But it was like he was wondering himself. Like he's starting to look at the clock and then I hit him with the line too. I come back and I said, yeah, they're going to be about closing down here shortly. And he couldn't make a ball. I ended up busting the trap, beating them out of all the money. They paid off him like 800 in quarters.
Yeah, because
we'd got it all. But I'm not going to put the guy's name out there. I like the guy.
That's hilarious, though, man. You made him smoke all the crap.
Oh, yeah, and he was a better player than me.
So that's the retrap. That's
oh, yeah.
That's a good move because you had them stuck. The thing about, when you get somebody stuck, you can maneuver them.
Oh,
yeah. So that's a good kind of an example of that. But anyway, Chew, man, I know we could talk for
forever.
A long time. We only really covered. We're filming something that for a TV show that we're doing, and I actually just got a part in a Discovery Channel show that I'm doing. I'm flying to LA in a couple of weeks, so there's a lot of exciting things in the pool world, man.
That's good.
And men like you are entertaining, and I think a lot of people, they just haven't had a chance to, somebody asked me, they said, we've read these books on pool hustlers and you're not in them.
Yeah.
And I'm like, yeah, because, I was the real deal.
Yeah.
I mean, just out of curiosity, I have no idea, but when did you hear about me? We never really crossed paths.
Probably in the 90s. Because that's when I was really going out and looking for the big gambling.
Yeah.
And it was in Greenville at the time.
Yeah.
Greenville, South Carolina. And your name came up. Mark Tad and your name.
Yeah.
Because like in the early 90s, you and Mark Tad were like the two top dogs.
Yeah.
I mean, I know you beat Mark, but
yeah.
But I would ask all the time as a young pool player, who's the best player in the world? Because everybody wants to be.
Yeah.
But they want to know who he is.
Yeah.
And they said, CJ's probably the best money player
in the world.
Yeah.
That's strong. I wondered what the line, I've never heard from, I've known kind of.
But I'm a hustler, CJ, so let's go out there and get it on.
Yeah. yeah. Now that he's buttered me up. That's interesting because, you always wonder what the line actually was.
Oh, here's a good one. I'm playing this kid. This is a good one because they said, hey, Chew, there's a guy up here from Alabama looking for action.
Yeah.
I'll send him over to the house. He comes to the house. I see him when they pull in the driveway. Alabama plates, and they come in. It's a girl and a guy. He comes in, and I said, what part of Alabama are you from? Well, the first 3 words that come out of his mouth, I'm pretty keen, I said, yeah. I let him talk, and I let him go on. And when he finished, I said, yeah. I said, now can I give you my feel on what's going on here?
Yeah.
And he looks at me and he goes, yeah, what are you trying to say? I said, well, I've been all around Alabama.
Yeah.
Georgia, Alabama. I said, you're not from Alabama. I said, but here's what I got.
We used to say L.A.
Yeah, he was from around L.A., Sacramento, California.
Yeah.
It was John Schmidt.
Oh, yeah.
I said, let me guess, U.S. Open's what, a week and a half away?
Yeah.
This girl's from Alabama. You met her in some pool room. She's a waitress or works in the pool room, and y'all are a little thing right now, so y'all are traveling to U.S.
Passing
Open.
through, yeah.
And I said, you heard that I'm a good gambler and I'm good to play. And he said, he's pretty straight-faced and he's pale, and he's like, yeah, that's pretty much the scoop. He said, damn. And I said, what's your name? And he said, John Schmidt. And I said, yeah, you just beat little Tony at the Derby. I wasn't there, but I heard they was passing the book around, taking the bets, and John beat him a big set. Yeah. And, but I'm still going to play. I play him a set for a dime.
Just not straight pool.
No. No stretch called Mr. 500.
Was it Mr. 400 or 500?
You got Mr. 500. He but look, he beats me real quick, you know, and I asked for a little spot. He gives me the 8, and he immediately said, "I'll give you the 8, but not the 7." I said, "So that's the line."
Yeah.
And he said, "What?" And I said, "Nothing. Let's play." I beat him today. We played the 3rd set. Now this set, we couldn't get it over. 7 heads.
Yeah.
It'd go 3, back, forth, like 13, 14 hours, all the way to the next day. And he's wearing out.
Yeah.
And I was an endurance player.
Right.
Played on the straight, but I was an endurance player.
Yeah.
And he wanted to continue the set the next day, go get some sleep. And I just told him, I said, "Man, I don't have any more in the tank than I've given the last 6 hours.
Yeah.
You know, that's as good as my game is at the time."
Yeah.
And I just seen, you know, this be our end. He went and won the U.S. Open. That was in 2004.
Yeah.
And
yeah, you got to play till somebody wins.
Yeah.
I mean, that's the difference.
Yeah. I wanted to keep going. I said, "I think I can outlast you." I said,
Yeah.
"I really do." I said, "I see you're getting weak."
Yeah.
And he was like, but he was. He knew it. He would I'd have beat him right then just because I had him tired.
Yeah.
But,
Yeah. I always.
But I like John.
Yeah.
You know, everybody calls me ChewTabacca.
Yeah.
Everybody. But I see John 5 years later.
Yeah.
At the Derby. And after that one time that we played, I see him in the hallway coming down the Derby. He stops and comes over and he says, "Derek, how are you doing?" You know what I mean? No Chew.
I didn't even know what your real name was.
Yeah.
I've heard it a few times.
Yeah, Derek.
Derek. Yeah.
Yeah, but most of them know Chew. That's what they call it.
Yeah, Chew.
ChewTabacca.
This is the inner Chew. We're discussing the inner Chew in an interview. Anyway, brother, man, this has been awesome.
Oh, yeah.
And, man, we'll do it again sometime. There's maybe a 3rd person we might bring in one of these days that we both know real well. And, you know.
I'd love to have Joey on here one day.
Yeah.
Oh, because me and Joey can tell
Joey's
some
cool.
stories now.
I know Joey pretty well. You know, like I said, he came down to my pool room. I think he'll probably say that was kind of instrumental in his development.
Oh,
you know?
yeah, I'm
Because
sure.
Oklahoma City's 3 hours from Dallas.
Yeah.
I had the #1 action spot in the country, really,
Yeah.
CJ's for a number of years. And I just didn't know him and wasn't in the one pocket so much. There was a few players that went through there that, you know, when you own the place, I just didn't really see them. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I'd see them gambling, but there was so much action back then that man, everybody that was anybody played in my pool room in Dallas. It was awesome. But anyway, brother,
Man,
it's been a
enjoy it,
pleasure.
man.
And so anyway, if you want to know more about some of my stuff, you can always reach me at www.cjwiley.com, or private lessons is cjwiley@cjwiley.com. And I'm in North Carolina right now. I'm going to be here for probably the foreseeable future. We got some big stuff going on, and I look forward to sharing it with y'all. Chew. Till next time.
Yeah, man.